Crowie here. What's up? How are you? Sparky Coach podcast. We are ready and rearing to go. Hope your day is going well, your week's going well, and we're in a big moment at a big stage of podcast at the moment. It's July 2024 to timestamp it. I don't know when you're listening to this, but essentially, you probably started the year with some lofty and big goals, and the year's sort of happened, and you stuck in July going, what am I doing? Like, am I on the right track? Like, am I going to make it to my goals? Like, what even are my goals? I can't even remember. I can't remember where I was this morning, let alone remember what I set at the start of the year. And I think it's just about whatever you're doing, reset. Just reset. You can't change the past. You can change the future. As Wayne Bennett loved to say, worrying's like a rocking horse. It gives you something to do, but it gets you nowhere. So certain things aren't worth worrying about that aren't going to matter in 5 years. Certain things are worth worrying about, but I think if we're all honest with each other, there's a couple of things that we can't continue on doing, and those things like that we can't continue on doing are things like existing in business without it being profitable, or if it is profitable, how are we doing with our time? So it's like, maybe the business is hyper profitable, and maybe I'm working 80 hours a week, and maybe I don't want to work 80 hours a week. I'd sacrifice some money to get some time back with the people I love. So it's like, you just got to ask yourself what's going well and what's going not so well, and what am I going to do about it? Because it's crazy. Like, a lot of people I sit with and talk to are like, oh, the cash is just not there. Like, is it money? I haven't seen the money, right? And that's pretty interesting as a electrical business. And talking electrical first, and we'll talk aircon and solar. We only talk to the gods around here, the electrical lords, the solar lords, the aircon lords. Anyone else can get stuffed. Unless you're enjoying the content, then you can hang around. But anyway, interesting. Most electrical jobs are like 70% labor, 30% materials, pretty much. Like, set your watch almost to that. Service and maintenance, probably more like 80, 90%, sometimes labor, 10, 20% materials. I'm talking averages, of course. Like, I don't know exactly what you're moving, but it's not going to be too dissimilar to that at the end of the year. Now it's interesting enough to talk about, because it's like, if the money's not there, it's more than likely a billable hours issue. More than likely you are not getting those hours in, or your staff members aren't getting those hours in. You can reference that to misquoting jobs, to a poorly timed schedule, to an absolutely cooked schedule, to not getting back to people at the right time, feeling bad and having to put someone at midday, to like not job costing. So you're looking at, and even job costing, like, I want everyone to hear this, and like, it's funny because I'm a massive numbers guy, like self-confessed, self-anointed, self-appointed numbers guy. Love me some numbers, but like, even the numbers tell a part of the story. So if I'm looking at a job that has been done, let's say it's a $10,000 job. If I just look at my net profit from that job, it's honestly serves me no purpose. Like, it serves me a purpose, 50% of the purpose, not no purpose. That was a poor choice of words. It serves me a purpose, but not the whole purpose, because you look at it and you might have lost money on that job. But you might be like, oh, I had an additional apprentice there, or this happened, or we did this. So there's literally like 10 to 15 reasons why those numbers could be how they are. And then you go, okay, sweet, like, what led those numbers to be put in that spot? So you're asking yourself a question that's about 50 to 60% numbers, and it's about 40 to 50% process. How was that job handled? What happened at this point? Did I pass a baton from someone to the other, to the other, to the other? Did the variations get captured, right? Did this get factored into? Did that get factored into? Did I have the right tradie apprentice team on there? Did I have too many apprentices? Did I have the wrong tradie? Was I training a tradie? What happened at that point to lead it to those numbers? And then we make up our mind, was a job quoted properly and mishandled, or misquoted and mishandled, or misquoted and well handled? Like, there's so many options, and I want to encourage anyone. We're running an accelerator program at the moment. We're just taking people for August and September, capped at 5 people, and we are looking to basically work out all this stuff, to leave nothing to chance. And we're just going like, how did that job go? How did that day go? How did that job go? How did that week go? Let's go, kind of thing. And it's amazing because I want to encourage everyone, you got to rip your summer business into shape now. It's July 2024, like I said. You got to rip your summer business into shape now. We know what's going to happen in September, October, November. What's going to happen? Business is going to happen. Like, people are going to call. The second, if you're in the northern part of Australia or New Zealand, anyone else can get stuffed. We only service the Australian, New Zealand realm. Because of the ASNZS 3000 is the Bible we live by. I know I've got it tattooed on my lower back. But yeah, so you're looking at it and you're going, okay, so as soon as that hot day happens, that one hot day, aircon, ceiling fans, right? PowerPoints for Dyson, like Dyson fan, whatever. Like, you just know it's going to go bananas. It happens every single year in September, October, November, and December, and you end up, so it's so frantic and urgent on December 22, December 23, just goes into the absolute abyss on December 25 when no one calls you. It's like a magic switch on just crushed 50-cent candy shop. He's got the magic stick. There's a magic switch here, and it's going to flick off, and things are going to go quiet, and then you're going to pick the balls back up in January. That wasn't a balls in terms of 50-cent candy shop reference. That was actual balls of work I was referencing there. It's only PG here, guys. Only PG. Anyway, so it's interesting. And, so next month in Sparky Coach, we're going to go through like the December playlist, the January playlist. In other words, like, how can you set yourself up now to have the sickest, best, most profitable October, November, December? It starts now. And if you can rip those hours into shape, rip those days into shape, rip those jobs into shape, now, then you will have a productive and successful second quarter. And it's interesting, there's that sort of seed time and harvest with the measuring billable hours, because it's like, just because you change something today, maybe it's your hourly rate, maybe it's your price book, maybe it's your materials margin, maybe it's your labor margin, maybe it's your labor efficiency, like, what it doesn't, like, whatever it is, you've only got so many levers you can pull, but there's that element of seed time and harvest. In other words, like, sometimes you're still in the fruit of what you quoted 6-12 months ago now. And so it's like, you can make changes now, but you've still got current jobs or current clients who are acclimatized and used to a certain rates and certain prices that need to be adjusted. And there is that, we're sowing the seed now, we're laying the foundations out, we're scattering it out, and that will need to be watered to sprout. So it's not going to happen today or tomorrow or the next day. It will happen. Some things will, of course they will, especially when you nut out like a small job, travel fee, a call out fee, you look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, if I just did that little thing there, that'll make a huge difference to my bottom line. Okay, cool, we can implement that. Sweet. Sometimes you're not so lucky, and you go, fire, I've misquoted that job. That's going to go for another 6 months. I'm just going to have to rip and tear and do it. And when you're closing months and closing years, and there's so much to it, and you just got to basically break it back down to the simple. So the accelerator course for us was just like, it was a no-brainer. We were just watching people wanting to have the best financial year ever, and let's face it, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So if you want to have that, your best and lofty, you can have the best bit of paper, the prettiest bit of paper with some cool writing on it. You can pay for it to get framed on your wall. It says, let's have the best financial year ever. But if you don't change what you're doing today, if you don't change your ways, if you don't repent and turn back to the trade gods and be like, let's go, trade gods. I'm going to leave the past behind me and push forward into the future. I don't want to get stuck in trade god purgatory where I'm just existing. And I just want to call out existing as a business owner. Call out the purgatory state. Like, you're not quite here, you're not quite there, I'm just existing. And I just don't think you were born to exist. I don't think that your business was created to just exist. I think your business was created to be successful, and success is relative and subjective to every single person. Maybe your idea of success is 30 staff, maybe it's 5 staff, maybe it's 2 staff. It's got to be some level of staff, because if you're just stuck on the tools, you just become all things to all people, and it really is unsustainable. Like, often you look at when I sit with people and they've got a small team or no team, it's like your hands are really tired. Your best intention to get that office day on a Friday will come unstuck to an emergency call out, and your hands are tired because you don't have a plan B. There's no one else I can send at that point. I have to go. Like, I'd love to. This is why it's so funny to be in the coaching industry, because it's like, I can have the prettiest calendar and the most colourful calendar with the best time allocations, but every day is different, and to some extent you are living in an element of unpredictability because you don't know who's going to call you out, you don't know what's going to get pushed forward, you don't know what phone calls are going to happen. All you can do, you've got to be somewhat proactive and somewhat reactive, and you've got to merge the two together to create something beautiful, and that's a work in progress, and that's what we are. We're a work in progress. We're not perfect. We're getting better, and you want to get better. You don't just want to exist in this purgatory state of like, oh, you know, the reality is if you don't change something, then nothing's going to change. So it's going to be a line in the sand moment. I don't want to have another average year. I don't want to have another good year. I want to have a great year. I don't want to even have a great year. I want to have an excellent year. And how do you do that? Like, if you want to have that great year, then something needs to change today and tomorrow, because let's face it, we're in the financial year right now. We're in the 24-25 financial year right now. And if we keep doing things the same as we were doing 6 months ago, 12 months ago, then we're going to land ourselves in the same boat in 12 months' time, slightly disorientated, slightly disgusted, slightly offended, slightly frustrated, maybe righteously so or not. But, you know, you have to draw that line in the sand and be like, what is okay and what's not okay anymore. And I just think, like, I still remember the day my business changed and turned around. I'd had a really average financial year. Actually, it wasn't even that average. It was just like not what I thought it was going to be. I remember thinking it was going to be, I thought in my head it was going to be sort of 250 to 300. And then I remember it being 180, and I was just like, so deflated, and I was like, but I've been telling people I make X amount of money per day. Like, what am I going to tell my mom? What am I going to tell my friends? Like, and don't hear what I'm not saying. I pretty much don't discuss incomes, like, personally. I just think it's not worth it. But for the sake of this, I will discuss that, because I was disgusted in where that landed, given the size business we were. I don't know the year. It might have been 2012 or 11 or something like that. And I remember just going like, why? Like, why? What is happening? Like, why? Because I know some days we're printing money, and that's the only days I'm talking about. Like, something must be going on. It's literally like the tap is on, but the plug is left out. So the money's coming in and it's pouring out just as quick. And so often I get on calls with people and they're like, oh, I think the cash flow is an issue. And I'm like, well, the cash just might never exist. The cash might have never been flowing in the first place, you know? We're not flowing like the salmon of Capistrano in here. It's just coming in and going out. And going out, it doesn't necessarily mean we're spending it. It might just mean we're losing it due to a lack of measuring jobs and checking. And it's funny, you know, in the accelerator course, you're going through like price books, and price books have their absolute pros and absolute cons. And there's no one way to skin the cat. The way to skin the cat is aim for a certain net profit on every single job, and then we're cooking. Like, if every job makes sense and every day makes sense, then the year's going to make sense. And I remember for me looking at this spreadsheet that I built up back in the day, and I just going like, I just saw it. I was like, oh my gosh, how, like, we've paid 8 hours or 10 hours over here, and I've billed for 6, or I've paid for 8 and we've billed for 4. Like, oh, and it was literally like light bulb moment. You know those moments you have in life that you can see clearly now, like now that the rain's gone, you know what I'm saying? And I remember like having these moments and going, oh my gosh, I can see it. And I can honestly say from that moment on, not a day, a week went past without me checking, monitoring, measuring jobs, because it's like the devil's in the detail, right? If you want the big year, you better have a good day today. And I think a lot of us, you hear this a lot of us just don't want to look. We don't want to look because we don't want to see, and we don't want to see because we deep down know what's there. And I want to encourage you, just like, you got to let the past be in the past. Like, there's a line in the sand. Like, I'd encourage you to come to come just have a look at the accelerator program, and just because I want you to have the best year ever, because you want to have the best year ever. And the better we get as an industry as a whole, the easier it is for everyone to quote. At the moment, you're seeing people quote, let's just say it's a, whatever, 50 grand job, and someone came in at 30. That to me, I've been the guy quoting at 30 and losing money because I haven't understood the numbers and I haven't understood the processes and I haven't understood, like, I've quoted and lost money before, as probably you have too. So if you look closely, we've all been the person that's underquoted because we've undercharged unknowingly or knowingly. And when I say knowingly, this is interesting to confront as well, because sometimes it's just a sheer lack of numbers understanding, and sometimes it's ego or like insecurity that gets in the way. In other words, I know that's a 20 grand job. I don't know how to communicate that, so I'll say 15. Or I know that's a 20 grand job. I priced it accordingly, but I got hassled by my price was too expensive, so I dropped my pants on that situation. So you can reference it, or you go like, I know it's a 20 grand job, but my ego says like, you're gonna smash that job out in 15. Like you're gonna get it done. I'm the best Sparky in the whole world, brother. And it's like that's wrong too. So the more we can educate everyone on numbers and job costing and reading the numbers properly, but knowing that a number is not just a number. There's a lot that goes into that number, like what created that number from both sides, from the quote side and from the on-site side, and how do they level up and how do they balance and what was the end result and how do we improve the end result. And the better we get individually, the stronger we are collectively, because I know that when you start your business, you like it's hard work. It's hard enough as it is without like people just underquoting the mainframe, and it's literally like it's like psycho, just the industry self-imploding due to a lack of education. All we got to do is educate the people and watch the whole industry flourish, right? So it's like I'd encourage you, don't go another day without measuring, monitoring, subjectively questioning, like criticizing, checking in with your numbers. Why do they say that? They're painting a picture. The numbers are painting us a picture, and we need to interpret that. And it's not rocket science. It's just a matter of allowing the time to pull yourself back and look at it. Now, the interesting thing is, you know, if I paid you, I say this analogy a lot. I'm going to say it a lot. Like, I'm going to keep saying that. If I paid you $2,000 a week to come to my house, if you live within half an hour of me, and fit off 3 wall lights, you would come. You'd be like, of course, I'll fit that in for you. Anything, $2,000, and you tell your friends, I made $600 now. All right, if I travel, it's 4 hours, so you know it's $500 now. It's oh my gosh, like you're necking beers at the pub, having some schnitzel with gravy on it, just going like nom 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 nom, $500 now, nom 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 nom. But if I told you that, hey, you can achieve that same result in front of a computer, you'd be like, nah, shut up. Nah, the money is no doubt made or lost in the office. It just is. Like there's not even a question about it. It's there's elements of on-site, yes, but if the job is misquoted, it doesn't matter how well you handle it, you're doomed and cooked, and it's gloomy from the start. Like that's pretty much the fact. So I'd encourage everyone, it's July. Right, if you want a good September, October, November, you need to rip yourself into submission now. Just look at yourself in the rearview mirror and go, the big dog's going to get it this year. Woofity, 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 woofity. You've just got to get after it, and you've got to stop making excuses, and you've got to stop existing, and you've got to start creating. You've got to start creating the asset, creating the business, creating the structure, creating the admin team, creating the field team, creating yourself an actual work hours, so you can get some feel on what's actually going on here, and you can get some boundaries. And healthy boundaries is once you get a boundary, you work out when you're outside that boundary, and you work out what your next step is, because it's like, I can't keep doing that, it's unsustainable. So it's super exciting, and I just think no matter what you're doing, just draw that line in the sand and be like, enough is enough. I'm going to get after the best financial year ever. I'm going to put the past in the past. And the coolest thing is like, you know, you're sowing the seed not just for the next financial year, but for the year after that, because chances are this year you're still in that like previous quoting structure, previous price book, previous rates that you might be in for the next 2 to 6 months. Once you're out of that, it's all gravy. And once we start improving individually, we can then start improving collectively. So it's a really cool thing to be able to be a part of. I really think we're a part of something Let's be a part of something that's changing the reality of Sparkies everywhere once everyone gets educated to a numbers point of view. So what is the line in the sand for you? What do you got to stop doing and what do you got to start doing? And don't wait another minute. Don't leave the tap on and leave the plug out. Instead, put that plug in and watch the money pile up. 50 Cent style. A couple of 50 Cent references. What a blessing. What a time to be alive. Have the best day ever. And just stop this and turn on 50 Cent into club. You'll be blessed for that. See you soon.